The strategy, the White House, all of my agencies have advised against vaccination of birds. Because if you vaccinate with a leaky vaccine, in other words, a vaccine that does not provide sterilizing immunity, that does not absolutely protect against the disease, you turn those flocks into mutation factories. They're teaching the organism how to mutate. And it destabilizes it, and it's much more likely to jump to animals if you do that. Right. So all of my agency heads from NIH, CDC, and FDA had all said we should not be vaccinating. It's dangerous for human beings to vaccinate the birds. The question is, should you cull those flocks? Most of our scientists are against the culling operation. They think that we should be testing therapeutics on those flocks. They should isolate them. You should let disease go through them and identify the birds that survive.
No. But this sounds familiar because this is the same shit they ran with COVID. They take a small kernel of truth, like saying mutations happen, spin a false narrative to create distrust in public health, and then use that to spew their anti-vaccine rhetoric while ignoring actual risks. Vaccination doesn't increase the risk of zoonotic spillover, which is transmission of pathogens from wild animals to humans. The exact opposite is true, actually. The less a disease can spread, the less of a risk of it mutating and jumping to humans. Allowing unmitigated spread of disease exponentially increases the risk of mutation. And avian influenza or bird flu is highly fatal. 90+% of infected chickens will die within about 48 hours. You can't let nature take its course. Flocks won't replenish naturally because they'll be dead before that happens. And what happens when millions of birds die unchecked? Food prices skyrocket. Egg and poultry costs would explode because entire supply chains would collapse. So why might RFK Jr. push this dangerous idea? Let's follow the money. RFK Jr. is part of the Disinformation Dozen, a group responsible for 65% of all vaccine misinformation online. These grifters make millions peddling lies. Joseph Mercola, one of RFK's besties, has a net worth of over $100 million from selling bullshit alternative medicine. And yes, I say bullshit because he's been cited by the FDA and the FTC repeatedly. Sherry Tenpenny has made millions off speaking fees and fear-mongering. So much so that she was too busy to pay her taxes or keep her license in 2023. RFK Jr.'s anti-vax nonprofit, Children's Health Defense, raked in over $16 million in 2023, of which he paid himself over $326,000 while he built a political platform on paranoia. Now we've got a new pandemic risk with avian influenza, in which the same fear-driven panic and distrust in public health that we've seen for decades is repeating, while RFK Jr. cashes in on anti-science rhetoric. But why bird flu? First, farmers get reimbursed by the government for every culled flock. That means taxpayer money, your money, goes straight to big agriculture every time these mass cullings happen. The bigger the outbreak, the bigger the checks for these major poultry corporations who conveniently donate to political campaigns. In the 2024 election cycle, 95% of the over $23 million donated by the poultry and egg industry went to Republicans. And while small and mid-sized farms struggle with outbreaks and go under, corporate poultry giants consolidate their market share. Fewer competitors mean less pressure to adhere to labor regulations and more room to cut corners in the name of profit. It's a win-win for them. Government payouts in the short term and a more monopolized industry in the long term. Now, why does that sound familiar? Because it's the same fucking thing they're doing with things like healthcare and public schools. Underfund it, sabotage it, then let it buckle under manufactured strain just so you can point back to the dysfunction and say, see, government doesn't work, we should privatize it. It's strategic failure followed by a profit-driven solution that they've been planning this whole time. This shit's not about helping farmers or protecting the food supply. It's about power, profit, and exploiting yet another crisis while working class people like you and me foot the bill.